Going live? Is it gonna? Okay, we're live. What is up, everyone? Okay, I know this room is a mess, but trust me, we are going to make not one, but two PCs out of this. You might think, well, I already have a PC. Why am I making another PC? Well, because this one over here, I need to take it down. As you can see on the inside, the GPUs and the RAM, they're black, but the whole PC is white. And this PC, the GPUs and the RAM are white, but everything else is black. And I've been wanting to switch this for a while, but the main issue that happened is when I got this motherboard, it was broken. And the motherboard just didn't work. When I put more than one stick of RAM, it just wouldn't recognize anything. Didn't matter if I use this RAM, I could use this RAM. This PC recognized all four sticks, so it was very clearly an issue with the motherboard. So that's why I'm going to be replacing it today, because I did get the motherboard RMA'd, and the whole thing is brand new, sitting right here, and hopefully we'll be able to finally make our second PC today. So I'm really excited. As you can see, I got here two GPUs. It's kind of hard to see, but I have a 4070 Super and a 5070. Those are all going in that PC. Right here, I have two 4070s, and those are actually going to be swapped to the other PC because of the color. And that's my goal for this stream, is to get all that swapped. So make sure to say hi in the chat. What motherboard is it? It's an X870 Gaming X Wi-Fi. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you. This is the one that I got. It is the gaming series because I do actually game on these PCs. They're not just for AI, even though they do a little bit of that to run my website. But I do actually game on these. These are, pretty good motherboards. And this one has Wi-Fi 7 because I was really into the future specs. And I also like to have PCIe 5 and all those other things. And actually, this SSD used to be in the old motherboard of this. It's not in a box because I threw away the box. But I'm going to be putting that in here. Today, we're going to be building all of this live on stream. So I'm going to put this over on the side. The first thing I need to do is, because this second PC is still turned on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it off because we're finally done using this. So I can say shut down. And then this one is going to have to be torn down. We're going to have to do a little tear down here. All right. The first thing, all these USBs have got to go. I have like 15 or 20 USBs. And yes, I know this is a little bit... I'll probably turn the camera away so I don't expose myself doing that. But yes, I know this is a little bit many things, but I have a lot of peripherals. So I'm going to disconnect everything here. And then once all that's done, I'm going to come back with the other PC and you guys should be able to see it. So just give me a sec here. I'm plugging like everything is like 15 cables again. And I believe that is everything. Yep, just got the power supply. That was the last one indeed. So this is what's been running pretty much all of the GPU detection on GPU Sniper for the last few months. And it's done a really good job of it. And I'm happy that I had all the parts that I did, especially with all the recent price increases. I'm lucky to have all of this. And now it's time to start tearing it down. So as you can see, the first thing I need to do, this little screw on the top, I gotta go ahead and unscrew that. And we'll go ahead and go from there. I should have all my screwdrivers in this basket behind me. But for some reason, there's one out here on the floor, and that's the exact one I need. So I'm gonna go grab that. And this is what the inside of my PC looked like for the past few months. Not really cable managed. I did kind of just throw the two GPUs in there. And that was really all that I had done. But I do want to put these in the black PC because, again, it does not look good to have black and white together. I will kind of be moving them to their own PCs. But yeah, first we're going to take out the power cables. I should probably, first before I do anything, do a failed start. I believe that's all the capacitors drained. And then the next thing I want to do is take out this RAM because I believe I'm going to put it in the black motherboard. I may decide to put it in the white motherboard if I decide I'm going to use the other PC. Because again, this PC isn't just for me. One of the PCs, I think my girlfriend's going to be using it. So I want to make sure that I don't, give her the PC with 96 gigs because I actually need it for Unreal Engine. I was building a PC, but my screws are defected. Oh, well, there's actually a kit you can use that gives you just spare screws. So I'm going to kind of go over here. I have a spare kit. These are batteries. One sec. I have a spare kit that's literally just all motherboard screws for every gigabyte in Asus motherboard. I don't think I have it here, but I do have it somewhere. I can go ahead and show you that. But it is pretty cool because it contains literally every screw you're going to need to build a PC. I just don't seem to have it right now. Maybe I can go and see if I have it in the back. Do I have it? I don't want to waste you guys' time though, so maybe I won't do that just yet. Maybe I have it in here. If I don't, I'm just gonna give up. Yeah. If I happen to need it in the future, I will go and show you. But you can actually find them on Amazon. They're pretty cheap, about like $10, and you can get all the screws for everything. The screws are pre-installed in the AIO. Oh, so yeah, that also does contain AIO screws. If you need AIO screws, that are also included in that kit. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is get these GPUs out. Because I don't want to take out like all the motherboard and everything. Well, I'm not going to be taking out the motherboard, but I am going to be taking out all the parts that I do want to put into the other PC. And I'm also going to be reinstalling the CPU because this is a 7900X, and I believe I want the 9900X in here. So I'm going to be swapping these out. It just has to do with the power usage because one of them's 120 watts and the other's 170 watts. So I want my PC to have the 120 watt CPU because I'm going to be mostly using that one. Hold on here. I'm trying to get this screw out. Like if it's going to be on for longer, I want it to have a lower watt CPU. You know what I mean? Just trying to get this screw unscrewed. It's a little bit difficult near the corner of the GPU here on this case. I think I should be able to manage. And these are actually the Asus Dual RTX 4070s. So that's the GPU model that I happen to get. No new chat messages. I'm going to keep going with uninstalling these GPUs. We'll go put them on the side. I also do need to dust them off, so it will use a good dusting. I do have a couple vacuum cleaners, but I'm not going to use those on stream. I am just going to kind of manually dust them off because I don't want it to be too noisy for you guys. But normally, I would do a vacuum cleaner. I'm probably also going to do a vacuum cleaner after stream. But yeah, first thing I do is release this PCIe. These things are a little warm because they have been running for a couple months. I mean, mostly just processing things for you guys, making sure there's no scams on GPU Sniper. So that if you want to get a GPU for cheap, you can just go to gpusniper.com and it's guaranteed there is not going to be any scams on that website. That's what these guys were doing for the last few months. Pretty dirty over there. I will probably vacuum cleaner that in the end, but that is one GPU removed and time for the other one. I'm going to go out and take it. This one has a different PCIe bracket. I believe this one is only a Gen 4 lane, but since these are Gen 4 cards, they should work fine. I believe they also would work fine in a Gen 3 lane, but these are Gen 4, I believe. So that is, once again, another 4070. I'm going to be taking that off, cleaning it up, and there we go. Let's go put it on the side. I can just rest it on top of the other one. And these will be going into the black PC. In here, to replace it, we have a 5070 and a 4070 Super that will be going into these slots. And my PSUs can handle this. I have a 1200 watt PSU and a 1300 watt PSU. So I believe that is more than enough to handle these multi-GPU setups because they can handle a 5090, which already uses like 3 times the power of one of these GPUs. So 2 times that power is not going to be much. So is this Pi? Yes, this is Pi. So I'm actually back at my apartment where I have these PCs, and I'm actually going to be taking them apart today and reinstalling a whole bunch of things. Actually, before I uninstall the CPU, I do want to put my PC on its side so that I'm not putting the thermal paste in the wrong direction. Because I am going to repaste, I'm going to swap it with the other CPU, the 9900X. And speaking of which, I know I said I was going to put the white RAM in the white PC and the black RAM in the black PC. I think I'm going to put the black RAM in the white PC still, because I just need the 96 gigabytes when I'm doing most of my workloads. Usually my PC is idling at around 20 to 30 gigabytes when I have all my software open. And if I'm actually doing stuff, it goes between 40 gigabytes and 80 gigabytes. So I actually do need that 96 gigs. It starts to use a lot of memory. Okay, I think you guys can see right here. That will be my CPU. And in here is a 7900X. I actually bought this like almost 3 years ago. It was when I was first building my PC. I had just gotten an AI job at Scale AI, and I got my first paycheck, and I'm like, you know what? This is enough to build a PC. I went ahead and built the PC. That's the first thing that I did. I was still in college and it was pretty nice. Gonna go ahead and unscrew this, and you guys will see probably. I don't know how old this thermal paste is. I think it's 1 year because I did reinstall the thermal paste after I moved this PC out of university, but we'll see. Yes, this was in my dorm at one point. It's a pretty cool thing to have in your dorm. I don't think anybody else built a gaming PC in their dorm, at least not at that university. Okay, I'm gonna be taking these screws out. And you guys will see probably my horrible thermal paste job because this thing idles at like 80. Actually, that's not a bad thermal paste job. But there is definitely some of it missing around some of the edges over here. Might have just burned off over time because this thing was idling at around 70 Celsius, which is not a very safe temperature. It could also be trouble with the AIO. That's why I'm also going to be putting it with the Lian Li in my other PC because the Lian Li tends to outperform this AIO by quite a bit. I mean, I was having the CPU idling in the 20s and 30s, so that's much better. Hey guys, hey Art, C1 Thunder, you're the go for this. Oh yeah, you got this 5060 Aero. Thanks for buying it. Actually, it really does help us out a ton, and I'm glad that you enjoy your 5060 Aero. Yeah, I just do need to get some of this CPU thermal paste off of here. It also looks like there's some thermal paste on the CPU socket, so not sure where that's coming from. Might have just been I did a terrible thermal paste job. I am going to be swapping it. So this is actually a Kiranot thermal paste, but I'm going to be downgrading to the MX6 because I heard it's a little bit more reliable. So this is Kiranot, but I am downgrading. It's a sad thing to say, but I do think it will be more reliable. And I mean, for a 7900X, it's not like it goes to 250 watts and I need some super crazy thermal paste to keep it cool. It does go to 170, but I mean, that's not the worst. I'm trying to pick the CPU up, but I don't want to break the socket. Don't want to bend any of those pins. Okay. There are no pins on the CPU, so I can feel free to touch the bottom there, but I do not want to touch the motherboard. I can see there's a little bit of some marks of usage over there, but that is not anything to do with the pin connectivity. That is just because it has got hot over time several times. So I will be putting that over there. It is also still a little bit warm, but not too much, because once again, this was just on like a few minutes ago. But yeah, I don't think I'll be swapping any of the SSDs. I do have about 16 terabytes in here. I believe most of these are 4 terabytes, and there's some SATA drives in the back. But I'm not going to be swapping any of those out because I do want to keep my storage in this main PC. I'm also going to be swapping out for the 9900X just for the power efficiency here. So let me go ahead and grab that, and I will show you guys the new 9900X. Now, this was originally in the other PC, but as I said, there was an issue with the motherboard that caused me to have to RMA it. It just wouldn't recognize RAM sticks. And I did previously put this CPU into the new PC and put all 4 RAM sticks, which basically proves that the motherboard was the issue with the previous PC. You can see brand new 9900X, and that is going to go right into here, and we will start to paste on top of it. So just put that in, and then close the socket, put down the latch, press it in, and then now's my downgrade to MX6, guys. It is more reliable. I actually did put it in my laptop because I need to replace the liquid metal that had not been working since like a couple months ago. And it did actually go down significantly. So I know this thermal paste really does work. And it is definitely reliable. So we're going to go ahead and install some thermal paste on top of the CPU. I'll clean up the previous Kiranot on that over there. I do have a tissue, I believe, nearby that I can get. One of the issues I'm having here is I can't seem to take the cap off of this thermal paste. That is annoying, but we will try our best to take it off. Hey Pi, what games do you personally play? I play Valorant and Minecraft, and I used to play World of Warcraft, not really anymore. I'm gonna maybe try to get into Genshin Impact, though. It is unfortunate that you can only do 60 FPS in that game, but I am potentially going to try playing some of it. Okay, so we have done the new CPU thermal paste meta. where you put a dot in the center of the CPU, like this. And that is the new best way to install thermal paste, because what you do is when you push this cooler down, it spreads the thermal paste everywhere. I used to spread it with like a credit card, but that does not seem to work the best anymore. And as for other games that I play, I do have a few other titles on Steam that I enjoy. Some of them go as far back as Portal. Some of them are mostly new. I did play Split Fiction one time. I'm going to get a tissue, though. I will be right back. You just go grab a tissue somewhere. Where do we have tissues? I might just use toilet paper. Because that seems to be the easiest thing to get. So I will be cleaning off this previous Curanot thermal paste. I also did run out of it because they give you a ridiculously low amount of this stuff. And also with the CPU downgrade in wattage, I probably won't be needing the Curanot either. So it's good we can get rid of that. And unfortunately, it looks like we lost all our viewers, but I am still going to proceed with the install because we do need these PCs back online to ensure that GPU Sniper runs smoothly. Again, if you're watching this on the VOD, definitely go check out my website, GPU Sniper. It's one of the best places to find GPUs. We're going to be installing this, and we are going to put these screws on it. Okay. I believe I just screw these in. Go with one. All the way over here on the opposite corner. And I believe this thermal paste should be spread all over the CPU. If it hits like 90 Celsius, then I'll know something's not covered and I can go back in and look. Hoping we don't hit too much of a thermal issue here. But we are going to finish installing the two opposite corner screws, which means we can go and start installing the rest of the screws over here. Thank you guys for liking the stream. Thank you, thank you. I'm looking at chat. Nobody's typing anything, but thank you for liking the stream. Let's go screw these in. One last screw in the corner here, and then one screw over here. All right, and that is the swap to a 9900X. Now, I am going to be reinstalling the black RAM because I do need 96 gigabytes in this computer. The other one would only be 64 gigabytes if I installed the white RAM. So it is going to have to, unfortunately, stay black. Now, I am going to be putting the white RAM in the black PC, which, I mean, it feels like they're just mismatched, but it's because I bought this before shortage, and I didn't really know what I was going to be doing. And then shortage kind of came in and locked in what I already own, because I don't want to pay $1,500 for the same RAM, but in white. So I'm going to just keep what I already have. I am here. Oh, back up to 5. What do you mean back to 5? 5 viewers? I did not see 5 viewers, but if I did get 5 viewers, I would be really happy to have you guys here. All right. Now I am going to put my 7900X on the side, and I'm going to grab the first GPU of the two that I'll be installing in here, the 5070. And this one is going to go in the top PCIe slot. Now, some of you guys who watch my other streams might have recognized this. This was the GPU that I originally intended to give to the giveaway winner, but they decided that they did not want a 5070. And okay, I'm sure that they have another thing that they wanted with their other GPU. I think they had a 9070 XT, but I did end up giving them some other parts to compensate for it. So they did end up getting, I believe it was a motherboard, an AIO, and some other things. But they did ask for that stuff, and so that's what I ended up giving them instead. And so that means that with this GPU, I just didn't want to return it because it more than doubled in value since when I bought it. And so here is that same GPU that you saw me playing Fortnite on a couple streams ago. Same GPU, the 5070 Aero. It was pre-bought originally in December when the price was super low. Yes, this GPU costs more than $1,000 right now, but it was only $500 when I bought it, which is in fact below MSRP. I just could not be helped to go and buy that. So that's why we're going to be installing it here today. And one of the other things, thanks to Up Here, we can actually support these GPUs and not have them sag down over time. Because as you know, I mean, some of these GPUs are super heavy, and over time they will just continue to sag down and down. So actually, one last thing. I do have to take off part of my case here because this GPU sag bracket is supposed to go here. I will put this in. My case also has a built-in GPU sag bracket, which is a little rare, but I am glad that there is a GPU sag bracket built into the case. But first, let's get this installed. I do have to push it into the PCIe slot, kind of like this. And I do think I might need to remove the lower PCIe. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be a 3 tall graphics card. So I'm going to have to remove part of the other PCIe slot, which is completely fine because my case is not one of those breakaway ones. And all I can do, I don't want this to be resting on the PCIe lane, put it over here. All I can do is just unscrew these. This is not a cheap case. In fact, it was manufactured by Deepcool, which is unfortunately now banned in the US, or I would have linked it, because this is actually a very nice case to have. And I believe in the back there is an RGB hub. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming. We are building this PC right here. We're going to be putting back in the 5070 Aero. That's just got to go in here. One last nudge. And after removing all of these PCIe lanes, I have successfully installed that in. And now I can put the screw back in that was originally in the way. Now I did not have to remove the thing down there, the actual cover for the PCIe lane. I just needed to remove the screw because that was what was in the way. But here we are. Let's go ahead and install this. And it is a little bit sideways with the screwdriver, but I can just barely get enough torque to turn these screws and eventually be installing that GPU, which is what you like to see. Let's get that installed. And this 5070, compared to my previous 4070, I might actually be getting a small improvement in FPS. It is supposed to be a 40% performance difference, but in actual gaming, I might only see around a 20 to 30% increase, maybe as low as 10%, depending on the game I'm playing. It really does depend on the game. But we will go ahead and install this 5070. And the next GPU that goes below this will be the 4070 Super. This one also has 12 gigs of VRAM. So combined, I have a total of 24 gigabytes, which is enough to run some pretty decent AI models and also good for opening a game and Unreal Engine at the same time without having any significant VRAM bottlenecks. Because otherwise, I end up having one graphics processor being completely used up, and then it also runs out of VRAM. So it's good to have 2 GPUs for these kinds of unique niche scenarios. As a game dev, it works really well to have 2 GPUs. How much did you spend on this? So back when I first bought the PC, there was no GPU in it, and I spent around $2,000. So it was a pretty big buy. But I am now rebuilding parts of it. And for each GPU that I got, I mean, the first one that I got was around $600-700, and then this new GPU here is actually $500. So it's better and it's cheaper. I honestly should have just bought everything 5070s, but you know, back then the prices were also different. We were just coming out of the crypto GPU shortage, and I didn't even know that we were going to get another GPU shortage. I do have to like kind of push my foot here because this GPU just doesn't want to go in. There's just one screw that does not want to go in. So I have to push. I don't even think I can push the GPU up. I'm worried about it breaking. I need to push it in sideways. But I'm trying to get the screw in here, guys. It just does not want to screw in. You always have that one screw in your entire PC build that just does not want to go in. I might have got it. Yeah, it looks like I got it now. That was so difficult. But yes, that is a 5070 installed. And then below this, we are going to put the 4070 Super. Now, this was actually the very original GPU that I had. Before I even bought 4070s and did other things, this was the original GPU that I had. And yeah, this is the 4070 Super. This was the original one that went in this computer. I'm going to be putting it in the bottom PCIe 4.0 slot. I don't believe I can stick it up in the other slot. I think they were just too close of a distance. I want to have more cooling on these GPUs, so Actually, no, I can put it in the upper slot. That is where I originally had the other one. So yeah, I'll put it in this slot here. And if I can get it in, I do believe it might be hitting the wrong side down there. Yeah, that's on the other side of the PCIe lanes. I need this. Okay, there. That is now plugged in. And yes, my power supply can handle this. I do actually have a 1300 watt power supply. So this actually, surprisingly, I mean, there's two cards in here, but this uses less power than a 5090. And my PSUs are rated to handle that. So I should be fine in terms of power consumption, especially with a 120 watt 9900X. So if I can find out where my PCIe screws went, which were like right over here, I can go ahead and install this, and we should have our second GPU completely installed after that. We go and install this one. And we're starting to get a little bit closer to the bottom of the case, so it is getting more difficult to install these screws. But I do believe if I slide in through the top, I actually cannot fit my screwdriver in here. So maybe I get a thinner screwdriver. I do have a couple more that could work. So let me just see which one I can grab. Maybe this one. This one should work, but it's just not magnetic, which is super annoying. I will have to take it in through here and just kind of push it around until it falls in the hole, and then I can screw it. Unfortunately, this one's not magnetic, but it is what I have to do. I could try temporarily magnetizing it with a magnet. This is actually possible. You can temporarily magnetize a non-magnetizable object. So if you ever want your screwdriver to be magnetic for a PC, all you have to do is take a permanent magnet, just an actual magnet, and then scrub the magnet on it like this. And then for like a few minutes, this will be magnetized. You just have to do it like maybe 50 or 100 times. And if you do that, your screwdriver will actually be magnetized just for a few minutes though. And so you can go in here and you'll be able to magnetize your screws. Not many people actually know about this, but yes, if you do take another magnet and you just keep like kind of scrubbing it on this, it has to be the same direction. You can't do up and down. You have to do same direction, kind of like this, because what it does is it aligns all of the magnetic fields in all of the atoms that make up the screwdriver. And so if you want a temporarily magnetic screwdriver, you can just do that and it makes it fully magnetic. But I did not do that. I did actually get the screw in, so we are good about that. The earth science is quite advanced. If you get that ref, I love you. I don't know what reference you're trying to talk about, but okay. I have a simple PC, not strong, but weak, kind of mid-range. Would you like specs? Sure, go ahead and type in your specs. I mean, I really don't mind. I would like to see actually what all of you guys are running. We here are a community. I have integrated graphics, so I don't worry about it. Actually, when I was first doing this PC, I did have it running on integrated graphics, believe it or not. But that was when I was having just a 7900X and I had first built this thing in college. I had the integrated graphics of it. I believe that was, how much was that? It was like 90 FPS in Valorant. And I can see right here, I have these PCIe connectors, which are not going to work for the GPUs that I'm doing. I believe these were using the old PCIe connectors, but I do need the 600 watt NVIDIA connectors for these new GPUs. These both use 600 watt connectors. You can see there's one over here, and then there's another one down here. It's much legit. Okay. Oh, okay. CPU, AMD Ryzen 5 5600 GT. AMD Radeon Vega 7. That's not bad, actually. I mean, so that is a G CPU. And the thing about G CPUs that's really special is they have actually better integrated graphics. Okay. One more thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to be installing these GPU sag brackets. Thanks to up here, we can actually make these fitted and not sagging over time. So, because there's a lot of weight here on the motherboard. So let's go ahead and, oh, shoot, that was a screw that just dropped in right there. Just going to yoink. That's why we like magnetic screwdrivers. But I believe this one might be a white one. I don't know. I believe there were ones that looked more white than this. But if the other one's just pure black, then I might just leave those for the other PC. I do want to put them in the correct PCs. I think that's like half white, half black. What are these supposed to be? These PC. Okay, yeah, these ones are. Oh shoot! Just dropped a lot of stuff in there. I can, however, just pick it back up. I did see where everything went. I don't think anything went down there. No, nothing went down there. Okay. But yes, this is going to go in here. And in the bottom, I actually have these things made for installing GPU side brackets. So you can kind of just put one like sort of over here. I think I'm going to have to install it on the reverse side though. Or maybe I could install it like this if there's like a plate that goes and picks it up. I believe that's how these are installed. So let's see what I can do with this. I do have to take the rest out of this one. So let's see. There's actually not much else in there. I do believe that these have something that slides along here and holds up the GPU. That might be these things. That's what these things are for, I think. So I'll have to figure out what the right position is for this. I need the manual because I honestly can't figure out how to install these. But luckily, they do provide us with a manual. Let's see how is it supposed to look when you install it. Okay, it's just tiny text. That's great. Is this a... How do you install these things? I don't really see anything. Why is it in every single language except English? It's literally every single language except English. There's no English in this. Okay. That is unfortunate, but I do want to install this. And I believe you're supposed to put it in the bottom, kind of like here. And then it's supposed to go up next to the GPU and kind of just hold it up. That's what I believe these are supposed to do. But I can't seem to find the actual parts that would go on it. I do see that you can sort of... Okay, I think I know sort of what I have to do. But I have to basically... You take this, you put it in here, right? And then you put it on this. Or somehow like that. Yes. And then I need to take this long screw pin and screw that in. Man, this is complicated. Very complicated. Maybe I just do like this. And then I believe that that goes in like this. And then I just need to put this so that it supports the GPU. So I would do it somewhere like here maybe. Or if I can get it into the other one. The other one is just a little bit too short. Unless I install it backwards. Which I guess I can do. I could install this backwards. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't look the best, but it certainly does perform its job, and that's what I care about. And then I believe I just put this so that it holds the GPU up, kind of. So like putting it right here would be optimal, because this will hold the GPU in place. And then that is, I believe, all I need. Now I need to just install it down here on the bottom, which might prove difficult, because I don't really see where I would install the screws here. That is a little bit difficult to do. But I believe you are supposed to stick it into these things. That's what these little trenches are down here for. If you don't see what I'm talking about, it's kind of like right here-ish. Oh, shoot, my phone rotated. It's kind of like, if I can get it not rotate. Let me see if I can turn off auto rotate. I do have a custom rotation control app, so I believe if I just... It might... Okay, sorry about that, but I forced my phone into landscape mode, so it's not going to tilt around. But these little like trenches here are where I need to install this thing, basically. I'm pretty sure that goes in there, but I don't really know for sure. And it is pretty difficult to tell what I'm supposed to put down there and how I'm supposed to even get my hands down there. Because this is like too tiny of a space for me to fit really anything. But we'll go ahead and see what we can do with that. And it's going to be a little hard for you guys to see. I guess I could put the camera like right here. Let's turn it. I can't turn it down anymore. Like this is the maximum that it'll go down. So you guys will kind of just have to hope you can see. I'm trying to make it so you guys can see. But I'm basically going to install that right down here. And I believe I have the screws to do it. So let's go and put this in. I believe we just need a couple of these screws. And then screw it like way down into here. That might. Oh, I'm an idiot. These are supposed to go under here. I'm an idiot. Okay, no, I'm just an idiot. Sorry, guys. These are supposed to go under here. No, now I see what it's for. I see what it's for. Please don't clip that, anybody. This is what it's for. Okay, okay. No, I'm just an idiot. So, okay. The issue here is that with this sag bracket, it hits the corner of this 4070 Super. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's hitting the corner. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a workaround there because I don't think that's gonna quite work. Okay, let's put the camera here so you guys can actually see what's going on. But I do need to put this in, and it's hitting the edge of the 4070 Super. And I don't have anything here that I can cut metal with. And I don't know if that's really recommended. So we might end up having to not support this GPU. Now, luckily, there is a little sag bracket in the case. So if I find something that's like big enough to bridge this tiny gap, I can use the built-in case sag bracket. And all the fake components spin to life, or what? I see Earth GPU brackets are quite advanced. I don't know. I don't know about that. All right, let's just go ahead and install it on the lower GPU then. Oh, this GPU is actually too big to install a sag bracket. This might be awkward. I was really hoping to put these in here. This GPU is too big to install it on. Not only is this 4070 Super in the way, but I can't even fit it under here because this corner is too big. This corner is too big. What's wrong with these GPUs? Well, that is unfortunate to say the least. I was really hoping to install these, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because this GPU is just too big. Now, I would stick this under. This would work because this corner of this GPU actually allows me to stick it in, but down here, it's just in the way. This corner is too big. Doesn't let me fit it. And then I could do something like this. I guess I could install. This is going to be a very cursed GPU sag bracket, but I could install it on just the bottom screw. I guess I could do that. You know what? I think it's better. It's better if I take out my more simple sag bracket. So I'm going to take out. What do you call that one? I don't even know what it is, but it's just a GPU sag bracket that is simple like peg. Let me get that one. If I can figure out where I put it, I will get that one to use instead. Yes, this is the one that I'm going to talk about. Okay. This sag bracket will actually work. It just might not be tall enough to reach the top GPU, but I believe it will reach the bottom GPU, and it is magnetic. So that means I can put it like right down here and extend it until it reaches this corner. And now this GPU won't get damaged over time. Thanks for this one for saving the day. What are you guys? NKO Max. Thank you for saving the day. I just happen to have this one on hand and it works. Now I could also try to, yeah, that's not going to reach over there. But I am going to put this in the bottom GPU. And then I will actually modify one of those up here brackets. I just can't cut metal here right now, but I will modify one of those and stick it right under here, which will work pretty nicely, I hope. If that doesn't work, then I'll probably just, actually, no, I'm just going to use the case one. With the black PC, all these GPU sag brackets should work in the black PC because those GPUs are a little bit smaller, like this. I believe that these ones will fit around the corners, and yes, it looks like they are going to. So that should be, actually no, this is how it's going to go. That should be, yeah, this should be fine. But with the other one, it wasn't quite, because it's, I don't know why, but this is just really big on the bottom. And yeah, if you want me to flex, I mean, I guess these GPUs are probably like $3K now because they went up in price. But yeah, there's like $3,000 a GPU, guys. I could have just bought a 5090, but I got all different GPUs instead. So that's what I ended up with. You clip that if you want, I guess. But I mean, yeah, I wasn't gonna buy 5090 because I feel like it's just a little waste to have only one GPU out of all that. Holy cable management. Yes, we are gonna cable manage eventually. Right now, also all that cables back there. Yes, I did just pull out like 50 peripherals. So there were a lot of peripherals in this PC. I have no GPU, so any GPU would be flexing. Well, you can get a GPU for cheap by going to GPU Sniper. It's a GPU price tracker that I made personally, and it works really well. It actually runs off of these GPUs. So these GPUs are going to help you get a GPU for cheap without being scammed, because there's so many scammers on the marketplace, and I do all this AI just to block the scammers for you guys. And I don't need like a massive data center. Literally just 2 GPUs in a single PC will do it. Is the best part about it. Like, you can just do this with 2 GPUs, because I managed to get a way to run 100 ChatGPT instances at once, and it uses all the same shared memory. Really nice. And then I can also lock one of the GPUs at a time if I want to game on it. So I'm not even wasting the GPUs. I can still use them for gaming. So it works really well in my favor. Okay, let's go back here and swap out the PSU cables. I may need to get my PSU's original cable box, because I do believe I'm going to need 600 watt connectors for these. One of these might have to be connected through the standard PCIe connectors, but I do actually have a PCIe to 600 watt bridge that came with the 5070 Aero. I believe those cables are still in the 5070 Aero box. Should be right around here. It does come with a set of cables that turns a set of PCIe connectors into a 600 watt connector. So right here, that's this one. So if I do need to put PCIe connectors, I can do that. But I do. Why 2 GPUs? Because I do actually need a GPU to game and then a GPU to game develop on. So sometimes when I'm doing game development, I run 2 GPUs at once, and Unreal Engine, when it's in development, is not very optimized. So it can easily exceed like 10 or 12 gigabytes of VRAM. And so that's why I would use one GPU for development, and the other GPU would kind of just be for having to play the other game on. And then also, when I'm not using these GPUs, I unlock them, and they kind of get put into sort of an AI server mode, where these will run 100 ChatGPT instances, just so that all the GPUs on GPU Sniper can be scam proof. It uses all these AIs to block scams on gpusniper.com. So if you want to get a GPU for free, not free, frick, wrong words. If you want to get a GPU for less, go to GPU Sniper. It's a website that I made, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. And yes, you can actually get a GPU for free. I was going to mention that as well. We are doing a kind of a giveaway. It's not listed on the website, but when we sell 500 GPUs through GPU Sniper, I'm going to be giving away a 5070 Ti to one of you guys. And that's still on the table. I believe this is my SATA hub up here. I was trying to look for my power supply hub. That should be down here. I did actually do some cable management work on the inside of this PC. But down here, I believe, if I can find out where the cables are. Yeah, there is actually another 600 watt connector. It's kind of hard to see, but let me take my phone on the tripod. You can see there is actually back here another 600 watt connector. So this thing was rigged to handle like 2 ultra high power GPUs. So I can actually put my second 600 watt connector. But what I do need is the original box with all the power cables that goes to my PSU. And that is going to be in my storage room. So you guys get a little bit of an apartment tour. And it's going to be in here. This is where I kept all the boxes to all my PC parts. So we are going to look through here until we can find the original power supply cables box. It's just going to be underneath all of this. Just one sec. I'm going to have to put this down. Luckily, the phone case does have a stand, but you guys are unfortunately seeing the floor. So I'm going to really quickly pull this out so you guys can see all the boxes in here. But I kept every single box, basically. I have all the 4070 boxes. I have like everything here. But what I'm looking for is the PSU cables box, because somewhere in there, there's the power supply cables. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I put it in here. I have to go back because I put it in the motherboard box. I put it in the motherboard box. So that would be way back in here. This is the motherboard box to the original motherboard, the X670E, not the X870 that I'm going to be installing in the other PC, but the X670E. This motherboard box, I happen to put the PSU cables in here. And yes, they are PSU cables in here. Now, these actually go to the other PSU, so I can't use them here. I can tell because these ones are braided, and then these ones are not braided. That's how I know which one goes to the Deep Cool PSU versus which ones go to the Asus ROG PSU. So I'm going to look for the braided cables, if I have any. Maybe I put them in another place. So that's, again, me misorganizing my PC part collection. But I should have it somewhere. Now, yes, I've taken out quite a lot. I am trying to find just one cable so I can connect these GPUs together. Let's see if I have it back in here then. Oh, maybe I do have the PSU box. This is an Asus ROG box, and it looks about the size of a PSU. So I'm going to take this out. Yes, this is the ROG Titanium. And yes, I know it's an ITX PSU, but my PC case has an ITX mounting bracket and an ATX mounting bracket. So I could mount an ITX PSU in there anyway. And I believe this should have all the cables that I'm going to need. So I'm going to take this, put it back here, put my phone back on the tripod, and we can start to install that PSU cable that's going to go and power the other GPU. Because I do actually need 600 watt power connectors. So let's get that installed. I believe in here are all the cables. It does feel certainly heavy, like there's cables in there. And yes, so we have, get the Molex out of here. And then regular PCIe, and not one, but two 600 watt connectors. So you bet that's what I'm going to be using. All right, let's put this kind of over here. And we're going to get started on installing these. So the first thing I want to do is remove the old PCIe cables that went to my old GPUs. So let's find those. Yep, I'm going to be taking these out through here. And then I find where these plug into the PSU and get rid of those, because we will no longer be needing the standard PCIe connectors. Zooming out so you guys can see me pulling these through. I'm going to pull these out. These are no longer needed. So now in here, I'm just going to take that out. Oh, you know what, actually? I think this was a 600 watt to PCIe. So I was actually using a 600 watt connector, but it just connected to two PCIes at the same time. I don't know why I wired my PC up like that, but I do think it did work because 600 watts is greater than the TDP of both GPUs. So I think it was fine. Now that I think about it, this is also a 600 watts of double PCIe. That's not going to work. I need a 600 watt to 600 watt. And I believe that's this one. Let's go ahead and use this one then. And I believe the GPU also came with a regular 600 watt connector, did it not? Or only the, no, okay. So one of the GPUs, preferably the 4070 Super, maybe I'll have to do it with the other one, is going to be wired through 600 watt to PCIe back to 600 watt. Some weird wiring, which I definitely don't really want to do, but I might end up having to do that just because of my PSU cable restrictions, and no, you cannot use cables from another PSU. Maybe there's an exception for the 600 watt one, but I don't want to test it. I want to use my original end manufacturer cables. Always a good way to do that. So let's just take this, connect it to PCIe. Come on, where is this? I think it goes on this side, right? It goes on this side, yep. Just kind of right here. So 600 watt to PCIe, and then back to 600 watt through the adapter. Technically, this is fine because this GPU came with this adapter, which means it's okay on two PCIe connections, and 600 watts is far greater than two PCIe connections total power consumption. How long have you been building PCs? Actually, for a fair while. So I first built a PC in around 2015, which is a while back, if you think about it. That's when like DDR4 was just becoming a new thing. And I still actually have that PC kind of to this day, but I just don't really use it anymore. It's kind of an old DDR4 system, so not really as usable nowadays. Okay, now I'm starting to wonder, did I second guess myself when it's supposed to be installed on this side? I think so. Yeah, because this will actually, yeah, that fits in. Okay. And then this one should install here. This should work fine. So it should work fine. Yeah, I just need to make sure that it's not opposite direction. Yep, that goes in. Okay, and then this goes back into a 600 watt. So now I officially have a 600 watt to a 600 watt, like this. And then my other 600 watt connector is just the one that came with the PSU. So that should work fine. So now I'm going to install both of these. One is just kind of going to go up here. I need to put the side that says PSU into the PSU. And the side that says GPU will go into the GPU. So we'll do that real quickly here. Again, a lot of dust. I'm going to vacuum this off stream because I don't want to make a lot of noise for you guys. But I do want to, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to grab my other phone and we can do a flashlight here so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Let's get a flashlight. Little flashlight in there. And now you guys can see that I'm actually trying to put this into this power connector over here. Which I believe goes in this way. Yeah, it does go in this way. So this goes into the PSU. Yep. There we go. And I'm going to put this in to here. Actually, no, this goes into the GPU. This one goes into the PSU. We'll do it kind of like this. And then we'll take both of these and bring them out to the front. So this one goes into the 5070 because those are the cables that came with the 5070. And then the other one can go into the 4070 Super. So this one can go into the 4070 Super. And that should all go through there. I'll just pull the cables through. Mostly everything's tidy enough. I mean, nobody's going to be looking back here on this side of the motherboard. So I think I'm good to go ahead and close the case back there. So I can figure out where the panel went to do it. It was right here. Lots of dust. I will be vacuuming this off stream. But I'm just going to take some of it off over here. And also vacuum the floor later. So good to get some of it off while I can. And we will take this and close up this side of the case. You guys can only really see the white thing that I'm trying to put in, but let's close this up. I do believe that it might be on backwards. No, it is not on backwards. I am second guessing myself. I believe this is how it closes. No, this is not how it closes. I'm third guessing myself because the actual orientation is this way. Or is it not? How am I supposed to orient this one? I do believe it does go some way kind of like this. I think, no, yeah, these go on the bottom, kind of up like this, and then I just close that. Why does it not want to go? It's like, oh, because there's cables here. That's why it feels like it's having resistance. Some of these cables moved sideways when I opened up the case. I need to push the cables in, and then I can close it up. That worked perfectly. Okay. And so now this PC is closed up. Let's work on it from the front and connect up both of these GPUs. All right. Move that case off on top of it, and we'll turn this around here. You guys can see what we're doing from the front. All right. Let's get this installed. So right here, we have the 5070 power connector, and here we have the 4070 Super power connector. So here I'm going to plug in the 4070 Super. I'm just down here. I do need to pull a little more length. But I believe this will fit in. Let's go ahead and install it. So I can get it in. Okay. And I believe that's in. And then this one goes to the 5070. Should stick all the way over here. And I believe that is in. So now we are using basically all of the cable adapters we were given, but we have successfully connected both graphics cards. And now just cable managing this is going to be a nightmare because I have like so many cables in the front now, and I can't really get rid of this adapter because I do need it because I don't have another 600-watt connector. I only had PCIe connectors, and then I have a PCIe to 600-watt reconverter, so I convert it back to 600 watts, the old connector that did actually end up going to the PSU. But like this, you can kind of just close this in. I am worried about this fan catching some of these cables in it. I don't want this fan to get cables in it. But yeah, we will worry about that another time. For now, I think this PC might actually be done, and we'll move on to the next one. Let's go ahead and close up this computer. I don't believe I'm forgetting anything inside there. I did change the CPU, added the 2 GPUs, and I believe that's everything. The RAM stays the same. I don't need to touch the motherboard or the storage. That was already optimally configured. And I believe I can just put on the front panel. Okay. This is a problem because this is very large in front. And the front panel is going to just push up against this, and I think it might actually break my adapter. So I'm going to need a 600-watt adapter. Unfortunately, I'm going to need to go ahead and buy another cable somewhere. But yeah, that's unfortunate. I'm going to need to unplug this just for now. And I will eventually need to buy a 600-watt adapter. Now I'm gonna actually first I'm gonna do some research and see if these are reversible. Because if these are reversible, I might be able to plug it in backwards. But I'm gonna first search this up because I don't actually know if you can plug it in backwards. Let's see. Can you reverse a 600-watt GPU connector? I'm going to see that. First thing, yes, it can be reversed, but it is not recommended to do with standard cables. On certain specific cables only. Are the same on both ends, can cause cable bending issues. Poor fitment, overheating, all these problems that I'm seeing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that could go wrong, so I don't think I'm going to reverse this connector here. I think what I'm going to have to do is just not use one of these GPUs temporarily, which is sad, but I don't really see another way that I can get around this in terms of power connectivity. Because this connector here, oh, wait. Maybe I'm dumb because I found another 600-watt connector in that same cable bag that is not 600 watt to PCIe, so I don't need to use all those adapters. Okay. But the problem is this is like super short. I don't know if it's going to work, but we will put this into the GPU then, and then I will try to stick it in the PSU way back on the other side of the case. Okay, this might be better. This is optimal, of course, if I had one of these. Let's go ahead and plug that in. I'm going to go back to the other side of the case and open it up. And then I'm going to hope that this cable is long enough that we can actually connect our 5070. If not, I'll have to somehow make it long enough, I guess. Okay. But as for the other cable that has those PCIe connectors, we are going to remove that one. We need to figure out where it goes, and I'm going to take it out from down here. You guys can see a little bit. Taking this out. Just need to pull all the connectors through here. It's actually very difficult. Something is lodged there. I think it's this cable is stuck here. That is super annoying. Wow, how did I not notice that one first? I knew this one had two 600-watt connectors, but I thought I just lost one. Okay. Take this out, and then this one goes out here. Done. Okay. Now we install the other 600-watt connector. Where was it? I dropped it somewhere. Did I just... Oh no, it's plugged in. So I need to take it and move it all the way back through here. And then take it through here and somehow get it into that PSU. Okay. I guess it does fit because it is long enough. Yep, that will go in. So just a little bit of pulling and it is in. So I guess we did end up saving it all and we did manage to put that in. Can you rate my upcoming PC? I'm asleep while watching. For sure. You guys can sleep while watching. Sure, I'll rate your upcoming PC. Just send it, drop it in the GPU Sniper community PC builds channel, like PC show off, GPU show off, PC setups. Just drop it in there and we will talk about it. Also, I mean, you can also type it in chat. If you haven't built it yet, you can type it in chat and I will rate it live on stream here. But now that we have that done, we have not one but two GPUs plugged in successfully with all the 600 watt cables, so we don't have to worry about, PCIe connections. But let me actually flip this on its side so we can sort of see what's going on underneath the fans, because I have a bad feeling about, yes, there are cables inside one of the fans. So let's take this and move these cables a little bit. Our friend here, but I don't want to rely 100% on gravity because the cables could suddenly recoil or the fan could pull them in. I don't want that to happen because that would cause a lot of noise and then potentially it could break open the cable, which I do not want. But I can pull these down, and I think if I just keep it like right here, I might be able to zip tie it in place. And then I also do have another cable I'm going to stick in here for USB, which might assist in keeping these cables a little bit more down. So when I plugged in the USB connector, I can't really show you what's going on here. Let me see if I can show you. But I plugged in a little USB connector down here. And that USB connector is above these cables. It should hopefully keep them out of the fans. But in the case that it doesn't, I will come up with a solution another time. I think that USB cable there is going to be really helpful. But let's go ahead and then finally put on this side of the case, and maybe we can boot it up and test it out before I go ahead and work on the second PC. So I do want this to be back up and running. Okay, these are a little bit close to the front of the case, but I do think that I can, maybe not. I do think that I can close this. A little bit of a tight squeeze, these power connectors, but I think it's done. This is done. Okay. I think the job is done. Maybe. And sorry for not censoring the J word. I know some of you guys out here might not have an occupation. Let's plug this in. Okay. Case panel's on. It is a little bit sticky on the edge here, but I will fix that later. I think for now what matters is that I managed to close the PC with all the cables in the correct positions, because honestly getting this far is a pretty big achievement with this case. I don't know why, but they decided to put basically you have to have small form factor GPUs in this, and I do not have small form factor GPUs, so unfortunate. But I will be closing that up. I think this is fine. I'm just going to put the screw in and we'll hope for the best. If I can find the screw that goes on the top, I will put it in. I believe there was a special colored silver screw, but if not, I believe I could take one of the spare PCIe screws because they are the same diameter, and I can plug that in instead. When I find one of those, I should be able to use it. I don't believe I have one, so I'm just going to use a spare PCIe screw because some of these GPU sag brackets came with spare PCIe screws, and so I'm going to screw that in so you guys can see. I will move this up here and screwdriver that in, and we have successfully finish building this PC. That is PC 1 out of 2. Completed. If I can find the right direction to put this on. Nice. Okay. I am really happy with what I've done. This looks a lot better than it did before. But yeah, let's see if it boots. So I'm gonna put it back in here, but later I'm actually gonna swap the 2 PC locations. I know I'm doing a lot of swapping here, but I'm gonna probably do that off stream. But for now, I'm gonna just put this in and we'll see if it turns on. Because that is the first step. The second step is, will it boot Windows? And the third step is, will it recognize that these are not 4070s and realize that it doesn't have the right driver and switch back and then install the new drivers? Because these are NVIDIA cards, so I did search up. It said that I did not have to run DDU, so I did not run DDU. But if the drivers interfere, I will plug my HDMI into my motherboard because my CPU does have integrated graphics. And I should be able to get from there. If you're wondering why I have this terrible cable management, it's because I have a lot of peripherals. And when I was first coming into this apartment, I didn't have much time to set up my PC. And for some reason, I don't know why, but the electricity in Japan does not have grounding pins on any of the plugs. So I had to custom wire all the grounding pins to actually go to a ground, which there was a ground in the room. I was able to find one, thankfully, next to the air conditioner. And I was able to ground all the wires, which is good. But then you're left with this terrible cable management, which I am eventually going to improve, but I still have not got around to. And then with 50 peripherals, it just does not help having that many peripherals. I have like, I have a microphone, I have keyboard, mouse, I have a piano. I have to put like controllers for Stream Deck, like there's so many peripherals. It's just not really doable. Yeah, I'm finally getting back here. I'm gonna plug an HDMI into one of these GPUs if I can figure out where it is. Actually, it's a display port, but same thing, just different cable type. I believe this one is a display port. So I'm gonna plug it in there, and that is our display monitor. Now time for all of these USBs, because I believe I had like at least 10 of these. So USB 1, USB 2. I'm just going to call these by number because I have so many of these and I don't know which devices these go to. But I do know that each of them is in use because I always test them and make sure that they're all doing something. But right now I just unplugged them, so I don't actually know what they go to. But I'm just going to make sure all of them are plugged in. So this is the sound cable. So that goes in the green one. This cable is next. We will plug in, it's a USB-C. I think the USB-C is because it needs a special thing. Then my Wi-Fi adapter. Now, technically, I'm using Ethernet, but I do still have the Wi-Fi for Bluetooth purposes, because the Wi-Fi antennas do actually do Bluetooth, I'm pretty sure. So that's important to have. And then also, Wi-Fi is my fallback. If for some reason the Ethernet cable, breaks, I can still use Wi-Fi. I figured, why not install it? I mean, it's an adapter that exists with this PC build, so I will install it. More USBs. I do need to load up the USBs. So one more plug here. Another USB needs to go in here. And then I'm probably gonna have another set of 4 USBs that go above this, or something like that. Actually, there's nothing here. Start to fill out the top row. My next one is the Ethernet cable. So I will plug this in. I believe it's somewhere down here. That's the Ethernet. And then I guess I can do the power supply because I don't. Okay, there's another USB, like I said. I believe this is. Oh, no, actually, that does not go in there. This goes to when I want to charge my mouse. I use this one. Because yes, I do play on wireless. It is slightly better. And then I now need to plug in my PSU, but I want to make sure it's off. It is off. So I can plug in my PSU. If I can figure out the correct way to plug it in. Okay. The PSU is plugged in, but it is switched off because I don't want to cause a fire here. And I want to make sure that everything is plugged in before I start powering things up. I believe everything's plugged in. We will maybe go ahead and start with our test. And I just hope this is not a very expensive mistake and that this actually boots. So we will go ahead and turn on the PSU. And let's see, can I get it on? Okay. And with my hand on the off switch, I'm going to press the power. And it seems to be working. I don't see any sparks flying, so we have a good sign. Let's see if this works. Because I now have 2 GPUs that I did not previously have in there before, and a brand new CPU. So we will test that. Oh, you guys left my stream. What happened? What happened to my stream? Oh, I accidentally full screened something and I couldn't see my viewers anymore. Okay, yeah, I still have viewers. Okay, that's good. Let's see. It is also retraining the RAM because I did put a new CPU in there, and there's 96 gigs, which will take a little while to train. But we'll see if it gets past the training RAM phase. If it gets past the training RAM, all the RGB lights should come on. But first, it's on the DRAM, training all those 96 gigs up, and we'll see what. Yep, there's the RGB. It's finished, and we should see it booting soon. It's gonna go to the booting side, and this 5070 should hopefully be outputting some display. Oh, that is silent. So maybe it was my thermal paste that was the issue before. That's why that PC was so loud. But yes, let's go here and see if we get display. I am not seeing anything coming through the monitor. I do still see a light on somewhere still. Let's see which debug light that is. It says DRAM, but it just finished the DRAM, so I'm not sure why. We will see if it gets past that phase, or maybe I should do a quick reset. Because I can just reset it and see if it gets past this phase. I probably also have to go into BIOS mode, so let's quickly press a reset button. Oh, I don't think I wired up the reset button, so we'll just do the power. Oh, wait, no, VGA. It's booting. Okay. I don't know why it says VGA. It is technically a DisplayPort connector, but they abbreviated it VGA on the motherboard. Okay. Let me look back at the debug lights. Oh, it's back on DRAM. Did it reboot? Maybe it's rebooting because it can't do something with the GPU. I don't see any red lights on the GPU, which means my cables are connected. DRAM. I think I have to press the delete key repeatedly, so I'm going to do that. I need to make sure my keyboard is plugged in, which in fact it does look like it is. So let's spam my delete key on the keyboard and see if I can get into BIOS. Because on this motherboard, delete opens BIOS, I believe. You just press this button. Okay, so maybe my reset button is wired up. It seems to have responded. Okay, VGA. Come on, please tell me I can boot. If the drivers are conflicting, I can just plug my HDMI into my motherboard. Because I do have integrated graphics. We'll see how that works. I'm not seeing any display, but we are at least on the final stage before boot. So it just wants to initialize some display, but my display is not getting a signal. And I did just push the power button on it. So chances are it's just an issue with the display drivers, which is fine. I can just use my motherboard with a temporary monitor, which is what I'm going to do. So we will use an HDMI in our motherboard just to get into Windows, and then DisplayPort once we finish the HDMI in the motherboard so that we can actually use our PC. Let me just grab a test monitor. I have a couple test bench monitors here. And we will plug that in. One sec while I set up my phone optimally. I have a tripod somewhere. Yeah, it's right there. Let's extend that. That way I don't have to hold this the whole time. And so it's just waiting to get something to initialize it as a display. But since I changed GPUs, it doesn't know how to do that. So I'm going to have to go with the CPU's integrated graphics option. So let's find a display cable that works. It should be one of these. That is a display port. I can only use HDMI because my motherboard does not have a display port connector. It's a little unfortunate. Oh, I think I had an HDMI over here somewhere. Somewhere around here, there was an HDMI. Sorry guys, I will be back on the stream in a second. I am just looking for an HDMI cable because I know that this motherboard does not have a display port connector. So I need to have an HDMI if I want to use this real quick. And I found yet another display port. I don't seem to have any HDMIs, but I know I did have HDMI before. So, I think I found. Nope, that is a USB. That's another HDMI to USB. That's the pain. I found like 3 HDMI to USB connectors and no HDMI to HDMI. Excuse the poor cable management over there, but I am just trying to find an HDMI cable, and I will get back to you once I found that. Ideally, I don't have to have so much stuff on the ground after all this. And yes, I found another HDMI to USB connector. So I'm trying to find an HDMI. This is an HDMI to HDMI. I can now use this one. Okay. So now all I need to do is put one of these in the motherboard, and the other one, I guess I could just use my regular monitor. Now that, because this does have HDMI ports on it. So let's go ahead and do that. We just have to go to the back of the PC, plug an HDMI in there, and find it. Just put one in there, and then just stick other end of this cable into the monitor, which luckily I have a gas lift, so I can just pull it up, turn it around, and then stick that into here. And I may need to reboot just to get those changes. But we'll see if it detects that as a valid display. I'm going to have to turn this on because I don't believe HDMI auto detects the display's power. But I'm going to attempt to reset the PC and see if that works. So let's see down here. Yes, so it's on VGA still. So let's press that. It's going to go back to DRAM, ideally. Is my reset button wired? Maybe my reset button's just not wired. So I'm gonna hold the power button down, which does the same as a reset. And then we can do like this. And that's good. One sec while it does that. I'm gonna press the power button on my monitor. So let's hopefully see it go to HDMI. I'm seeing VGA again. Let's see if the graphics are showing up on here. Okay, new CPU installed. Press Y to reset FTPM if you have BitLocker, which I don't, so I'm going to ignore that message. We can just reset this, and that's perfect. It looks like we have got past the phase, and we are now going to reset back to VGA and then boot, hopefully. But I did see text on the screen, which is a good sign. And now we see AORS. That was the AORS logo. So we are booting for sure. And then now we should be able to change our GPU output by adding the drivers. I think the reason it doesn't know how to do it is because these are 4070 Supers and 5070s. And before we had regular 4070s in there. So it just doesn't know what to do with that. It panics and then it can't figure out how to do that. So I just plug in my mouse here. I can also plug in the camera, I guess, but I am going to be swapping these PCs, so maybe don't plug in too much. But let's see if I can see a boot screen. It is working kind of hard, but I don't see any debug lights, which means it should be booting. I'm going to have to change this to HDMI. I think I'm on HDMI, right? Let's see if I can get that up. So, which is a good sign. HDMI 2, no signal. I think it's HDMI 1, right? Input select. Oh, it just keeps switching. I think HDMI 1 is the right one. Yeah, HDMI 1 is what it keeps trying to switch to. I'm telling it to use this one. Maybe it's on DisplayPort. Am I trying to display to DisplayPort? Oh, it's on DisplayPort. Look at that. So it did actually figure out how to talk with this. Okay, and I need to reset my PIN, which is probably going to require my Microsoft password. Or actually, I can do an authenticator. So let's not do this. Sign in another way. Use my authenticator app, and then I can just go on any of my phones and then approve my login real quick. So let me just do that real quick. Authenticator request. And then I just push 32 and I should log in. And that means I don't have to type in my password on stream. That should be good. I will, however, turn the camera away because it's probably going to ask me to set up my new PIN unless it just downloads my PIN, which might be the case. And we'll see what happens. It did just flicker out the display, which means it could have... No, it's still on DisplayPort, which is good. I am going to remove that HDMI that I used for compatibility, though, because it might be confusing it. And it looks like we don't need it anymore, so disconnect that display. It should be only on DisplayPort now. And now it does want me to set up a PIN, so I'm going to turn the camera away, and I'm going to just type in my usual PIN. Actually, I'll do a new PIN this time. And I believe that is the PIN. So there we go. And it should be now booting back into Windows. So that's what we were in before. I will sign into all these accounts, though. It wants me to sign back. Oh, that's actually not my account anymore. That email was deleted. So let's see what we have. GPU 0, RTX 5070, GPU 1, 4070 Super. Our CPU is now a 9900X, and we still have our 96 gigs of RAM. And I believe if I search WSL, yeah, no, so my service didn't start. Services, no, I think it's Task Scheduler. I have like a little thing here that runs my VLM. And it says ready, but it never started. It says at system startup. So I'm going to need to debug that later, but I will just run these services manually. And that should be the AI server started back up. So I'm not going to be using this for now, but I will also need to go to NVIDIA and install drivers. But I believe this should work, right? Yeah, it's trying to use these GPUs now. Okay. All my software is just starting up now. Yeah, we have NVIDIA app here. Should be updating. And then we'll see everything happen. Drivers. I will need to install these new drivers probably. So let's get that done. Let's download that. And I believe it should still work on this GPU, but I'm still going to update that. And just in case, I'm going to temporarily... I don't think I can stop the AI, but I will reboot after this. It should be fine then. You can see the AI is trying to take all this VRAM up, which luckily it still seems to be working about similarly, even though the GPU types changed. I have to check what's going on here, because it should actually be going to the maximum. So I might have to fine-tune the amount of memory it can use. It seems to be using like 85% of the memory, but I want it to use 95%. So I have to do that later. Let's do express installation on these NVIDIA drivers. You will install these drivers, and then should be good to reboot. And then after, I'm going to take this PC right here and move it to the other side of the room over here. And then this new PC that I'm going to build is going to go here. And ideally, we won't have so much stuff on the floor when I'm done, and I can actually clean this room. So let's get that installed. And this should be a small performance boost with a few things. Oh, yeah, the AI is actually trying to take all that memory up, so that's what ends up happening. But I'm glad that we actually have this, so yeah, fully set up. Let's wait for all of this progress bar here to do its thing. And then in the meantime, let's get into the new parts that go in my other PC. So for starters, we have the old RTX 4070s. Those will be our GPUs. And our CPU is over here. Probably not the best spot to have a CPU, but that is the 7900X from my old PC. And then we have our 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, plus our, what is it? X870 gaming motherboard. And ideally, I'm gonna clean this room up sometime, but I just don't really have the time to do that when I'm streaming. So we will, I guess, be putting it together in a messy room. After that, we will clean everything up. And I'm gonna show you, I feel kind of bad doing this in such a mess. So I'm gonna show you guys like a picture after this of this room all clean, because I want you guys to know that I did end up actually cleaning it. And for some reason I can't see the chat anymore. I don't know what happened, but I'm gonna try to open the chat. I hope it doesn't like stop the stream, because I can't really. I mean, all I can do is I can press the back button, but here goes nothing. Oh, I do see the chat. So the back button did actually open the chat, but I can't see any previous messages that you guys have sent. So if you guys are trying to talk with me, you should send your message again. Also, I can no longer see how many people are watching my stream. That's great. Okay, so I can see 2 people watching, and if I hit back, oh, back close my stream. Man, this is so difficult. Why did the back button like do that? Okay, well, I do want to see your guys' chat, so I'm gonna leave the chat open, but I cannot see how many people are watching the stream, so I might just end up talking to an empty wall. I hope is not the case. I hope I have more than 0 viewers at all times. I'm going to restart this computer, and then after the restart, I'm going to shut it down. And meanwhile, let's get working on this new PC over here. For starters, let's get it on its side and open and in front of the camera so that you guys can see me installing all the parts. Let's try to ignore all the mess on the ground. Ideally, none of these parts are in a bad situation. I don't think any of these have gotten messed up. Yeah, that should be fine. I don't think anything happened to that. So let's get this PC case in front of the camera. All right. Let's. I actually can't see anything in the chat, so I don't think it's connected. I'm gonna refresh the page. It's gonna maybe stop streaming 1 second, but what the fudge? Can I change the camera? I want it to use the rear-facing camera so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Come on, use the rear-facing camera. This is so dumb. The fact that I even had to do this because I couldn't see what was going on here. Customization? How do I change the camera? It won't let me change which camera I'm using on this. At least I'm back and you guys are still watching, but I do want to change the camera. How do I change the rear-facing camera? Because I want you to be able to see what I'm actually doing. I can't do anything with this. Bruh. Let me change. That mutes me, but that doesn't change which camera I'm using. Okay, I'm gonna have to like restart again. I'm gonna refresh the page. It'll be back. Okay, I did reconnect, I believe. I reconnected successfully. Sorry about that, guys. But now I can actually see the chat and the number of viewers at the same time. That was so annoying. But I believe my PC just restarted. So let's go on to building the next one. Zoom. I'm gonna zoom the page back in a little bit so I can actually see what's going on in the chat. Okay, now I can see what you guys are typing, and I can see the stream and everything. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, time to turn this other PC off. So let's type this in and then turn it off. Ideally, come on. Okay, shut down. That should be good. Okay, and now I'm gonna take all these peripherals and stuff out, so I'm gonna be moving that PC to the other side of the room. But yeah, that is basically what's going on here. Yes, let's take this PC, unplug everything, because eventually what I'm gonna end up doing is re-plug in the new PC here, and then this old PC is gonna move to the other side of the room. But yeah, anyway, let's do that, and I should be good to go. All right, let's build the next one. So let's get it over here. I do wish I had a table and a better environment to build these in, but I am dealing with what I can deal with. I could not afford a like $3,500 a month apartment, so I am in what I can afford, and that does not include spacious luxury size rooms with tables and whatever. You guys can blame me in the comments for having a messy setup while I build these things, but people's workbenches look like this when they do this same kind of stuff. So let's just get this ready. This case was by Sama, but I believe this is a higher end case than the entry levels that I know they offer. I have heard bad things about some of their entry level stuff, but this was a very high end case that was bought quite a while ago, actually. I just never got around to using it. And it is better than the other case that I had. So let's go ahead and actually swap the phone around so I can show you guys what's going on the front. I can turn it down like this, and now you can see what's going on inside the PC. The first thing, I'm going to stick a power supply in the corner. This is the Deep Cool, whatever you call the power supply. I think there was a series or something, but it's the PX1300P, which is a 1300 watt power supply with a platinum certification. So let's just go ahead and figure out how to install this, because from the looks of it, there's a little compartment down here that you have to be able to open up to install the PSU. Because I can't seem to figure out how this would fit on the inside without me opening this up first. And there's also an instruction manual that was down inside there. So I guess what the first thing we have to do is take the feet off the case and then pull open the bottom to put the PSU in. Let's see how we're going to do that. You know what? I think it's better that we read the instruction manual. First thing I want to do is install the PSU. So let's do that. It's easy to set and forget that thing. So let's see. Installing power supply. Oh, it just goes through the back. Okay. Maybe I am not that smart, but we will just open the back. I believe I can just... Yeah, there we go. Now that's open. Let's put it down like this. You guys can see they did have some hubs back here. But let's unzip tie whatever this is. It's not a zip tie, it's a plastic tie, but we will put the PSU down in the corner over here. And I just need this to be facing the outside, and maybe we want the fan to be facing downwards. And then I will put this in here. And now let's get the mounting screws all installed and everything. So let's get that here. First thing we want to do is get these screws in here, and we will start installing those. So now the case should come with its own set of screws for installing PSUs. And they were nice enough to give us some zip ties. So W Sama for giving us some zip ties. A lot of zip ties here, but we will be eventually using those for cable management. And they have a lot of screws that I just pull on the ground. Most of these are probably going to be the motherboard screws and standoffs, but there are probably going to be a few here that are not for that. Also, they gave some speakers, which these you can put in your motherboard to give it the ability to beep. That's very nice. Thank you for that. Now we will go ahead with the non-CPU or motherboard kind of screws. These are like the ones that like go into the PCIe brackets, but the PCIe brackets already have their screws. So I believe these are the ones you want to use on your PSU because they usually use the same type of screw. So we're going to find all 4 of these, and there are exactly 4. So what do you know? These are PSU screws. And I will go ahead and install these one by one into the back of the case right here where a PSU is. Just so you guys can see what's happening, I will show you all this here. If I can install the screw, that is. Come on. I know this should go in, but it's not going in is the thing. That should go in though. Come on. Is this the wrong screw then? Might not be the right screw. Okay. I'm gonna look and see if I had the old PSU screws, the silver screws that went into the other case. But I believe those are part of the other case. They weren't part of the PSU, so that's the interesting thing. But if these will go into the PSU, then I will use them. So here are the silver screws that I'm going to be using. But whichever one works, works. Nobody's going to look at the back of the PC, so I don't really care about it as much. And this one also seems to have difficulty screwing in, even though these were the original screws that I'd used. So maybe I was using the right screws. It's just these don't screw in very easily. Come on. These were the ones that were already in the same PSU, so these have to go in. These were used to screw in the PSU. And this is the same one. This is not even like I changed the PSU. It's the exact same PSU. So these have to work. Okay. Come on, screw it in. It doesn't seem to want to go in. I'm going to need to check, like, is this upside down? Does not look to be upside down. Actually, there's 2 screws on one side of it, which seems to be the correct way to install it. Maybe it's just not aligned correctly. That could be an issue. But I don't believe it is, because it seems to be aligned correctly. Right here, this screw should be going in, but it doesn't want to go in. I believe that one should go in, but it's not going in. Maybe the case is... Oh no, this one went in. Okay, these are the right screws, for sure. I think they're exactly the same as the other ones, so I don't know why they're not going in. They might not be the exact same, but at the very least... Oh, that was not even a screw hole. That's why. And maybe the first one was just a one-off. Just unlucky, but we'll retry this one. Maybe that's... Oh, maybe I have to use this one. Okay. Yeah, no, so neither of those were actual screw holes. I think those are fan grates that I was mistaking for a screw hole due to the poor lighting that we have close to the floor. But yeah. Okay, so we've screwed in all of these. I could have probably used the other screws that were probably actually intended for the PSU, but nobody's going to look at the back, and I think the silver screws are fine. So let's continue with wiring up the rest of the case. First thing I'm going to want to do is figure out how to set this hub into a SATA connection onto the power supply. So I believe this hub, all these are going to need to connect somehow. These are all RGB headers, right? Yeah, it's an RGB hub. I believe that goes to an actual fan set, PWM kind of thing. Okay. Then these go to the USB. So these are all motherboard connectors. So let's take these and get these ready to go to the front. And these need to pass into the front. This also needs to go into the front. This also needs to go into the front. And this is fine. That just needs to go... Okay, so I'm assuming they have a jumper front panel connector like JFP for the whole layout here. Yeah, F panel is what they call it. And my other motherboard actually does have this new layout for JFP1. So the jumper front panel connector is usable here. Okay. No new messages in chat, but we do have 3 people watching. Maybe you guys are sleeping. It's all good. I do know it's very late out for you guys. So I will try to get this done quickly. But yes, this is connected. Now let's get all of our power cables, put those in the front, and then we can close out the back of the PC. And it doesn't look like there's much cable management to do here, but I will revisit that after we finish building. The first thing I'm going to need is... So actually, these GPUs don't use the 600 watt connector. Unlike the other case, these use the PCIe connector, the standard one. So we will have to be switching to standard PCIe connectors to connect both of these. These are just regular 4070, so they only use 200 watts, which I believe that with this 150 watts from PCIe plus a 75 watt from the motherboard is enough to get 200 watts, which is why they did not give the 600 watt connectors to these. This goes to the other PSU, so I cannot use it here. That is a braided cable. We want the non-braided cables for this one. And these are all the non-braided cables that I had in my other PC. I believe this one might be... No, this is a CPU connector, right? Yeah, this goes to CPU. So these sides go into the PSU, and then the other side goes into the CPU. I'll have to put this all the way up through there. I might have to undo this tie, because we're going to need a little bit longer length. Now let's find CPU/PCIe, and in the top two, let's put our CPU connectors. And then for the PCIe, we can just do PCIe regular connectors. And I believe we also have some more connectors for this power supply. Let's find our PCIe pins. And I believe these should be working fine. But let's see if I have a 600 watt to dual PCIe splitter from the PSU end. Actually, I'll just use two standard PCIes. I don't want to go messing around too much. And those are the first two that I happen to pick up. And those are also pretty stable. So I will go ahead and plug those in. Still no messages in the chat. I can't tell if you guys are trying to chat and then I'm just not getting the message, but I'm hoping that I can see all the chat messages coming in if you guys are sending any. Which would be really sad because that would still mean I have 0 messages. Okay. This thing here is going to go to the GPUs. So that needs to go up through this. This needs to go up through here. And then this side goes into the PSU. We have actually quite a lot of PCIe connectors over here. So let's do this. And then this one down here, I'm going to do one up through here for the other GPU. And then this is going to go into here. Oh, sorry about that. My camera almost fell over. But we will put this in. And then these CPU connectors will go back here to the top, probably the tippy top. The motherboard is an X870, and that is going to be the next thing we'll be installing here. So all this is in. Let's get the P1 connector for the motherboard, our 24 pin. So let's get all that in. Motherboard should be somewhere over here. Yep, I believe that's it. And then we might want to get a SATA just for our RGB hub. So let's go back here and then stick this motherboard connector in. It's a little bit difficult to work down here with limited space, but I will be installing both of these for the motherboard power. And let's get that in. Yep, connected. And this one needs to be connected as well. Oh, okay, connected. I believe both of these are connected. I'm just verifying. Okay, motherboard has been connected. let's take this and put it through the side here. I'm going to decide if I need to also move it one over, but I believe this is fine where it is. And then everything else like peripheral, PCIe SATA. Okay, so a SATA connector just for our RGB hub. Let's get this over here. Just a 3-pin. Let's plug that in like somewhere over here. Yeah. We'll do a 3-pin SATA connector. And that'll just be for RGB hubs. Because this PC doesn't have any SATA items. Unlike my other PC, which actually does have SATA drives. Just a few of them. Most of them are M.2s now, but I do still have some old SATA drives that I collected. And they're SSDs, so I'm using them still. I don't believe I have any SATA HDDs anymore. That's kind of a thing of the past. Well, I do still have SATA HDDs, just in external enclosures. This will probably stay back here. Let's see if I can plug that into the hub. This one right here. I will just plug that in here. And that means that our RGB hub will have power. And same with all these other things that are probably necessary. So this will get a SATA power. If I can manage to plug it in. It's convenient because this provides like the right amount of voltage for a lot of parts. Oh, the L goes down here. So they want me to... Okay, maybe I have to do it with one of the middle ones then. It's going to be a little difficult to wire otherwise. There we go. And that is the SATA connector powering our hubs. So now I could probably close the back side of the case. I shouldn't need to do anything else here. So let's go ahead and close that in. And let's work on the front, the more exciting part. The stuff you actually get to see. So this is hopefully going to be more exciting than installing a power supply. Let's get this started. So here is the actual inside of the case. What you guys probably actually wanted to see. I'm going to flip the phone around as well. Real quick. And we're going to get started with installing the motherboard. That's the first thing that we should install in a case. So we're going to put this glass panel out over here, just somewhere where it's not going to be bothering us. And then this X870 is what's going on here. Let's get this motherboard in. So this is the brand new X870, which is hopefully going to work this time. So I believe it is sealed on the bottom somewhere. Yep, they did actually seal it in the anti-static. Let's open this up. Come on. Open this up. I might need a scissors, so let's get a scissors here real quick. I'm going to cut that open. They did seal it pretty well. But let's go ahead and cut that open. And now I should be able to access the motherboard inside. And since this is an RMA, I don't think they sent it with like all the cables and the Wi-Fi antenna, but I did keep my old ones just in case. So let's put this in and get that ready to install. I do believe that they just repaired the motherboard. There was just some things not wired near the RAM slots. That's all that they needed to do. But I don't see anything else in the box, which indicates they probably just actually repaired the motherboard instead of replacing it, which is a good thing to do. That is definitely a W. I like to see people who are not actively contributing to e-waste. Unfortunately, though, before I can install this, I am seeing that there is a little bit of a predicament with these cables sticking up here. I need to move these to stick out somewhere else. So these need to go probably like over there. And once again, this is a large size motherboard, so it is going to fill up this pull part of the case, basically. So I might need to open up the back of the case and move those wires one slot over. So these can go back here. Once again, I will zip tie these later. I want to get things working first. But we will take all this out through here. And then we can plug all these in through this side, which is far enough from the motherboard that it's not going to be in contact with it. And this USB header goes in through here. And I believe that is everything. So let's push these cables down. Actually, this one goes here. And let's push all these cables down so we can be ready to close this up. Believe that is all set. Something in the way, though. Okay, closed up. Now back to the front. And get rid of that SATA cable in the way here. That goes back in the back of the case. And then also need to make sure there's nothing that's going to short out my motherboard when I put it in. I believe we also already have standoffs installed, so we don't need to install new ones. And we can kind of just place the motherboard on top of this and screw it in. So that's what I'm hoping is the case here. These GPU power connectors can kind of just go in the front. I think I'm going to need to put these in a different slot, possibly this one right here. So just moving the GPU power connectors so they're not going to be in the way of the motherboard again. I did end up losing one of these pins. It's just caught on another cable, which is why it didn't go through. Let's not catch it on this cable this time and bring it up. Pull these GPU power connectors through. And then this one also needs to go through, so let's put that through. Okay, and this goes, and out it comes from over here. Okay, and also go through the other side, and then that should not be in the way of the motherboard anymore, and I can just pull these out the front. Okay, and now we can place our motherboard, which still has screws in it somehow. I guess Gigabyte gave me extra screws, or maybe they didn't do anything with this motherboard. I'm starting to think that this might not have done anything to this, but we'll see. Oh, my screws. Interesting. Not sure what they did with this. They have standoffs stuck to it. Yo, I RMA'd this. You have standoffs stuck to the screws. How are there standoffs stuck to the screws? That does not make sense. Gigabyte, standoffs are like stuck to the screws. What's going on here? Did you send me back? What did you send me back, Gigabyte? I swear, if this doesn't work, this is going to be really bad. This is going to be really bad for Gigabyte if this doesn't work. Because I asked to return this. This is like a $200 motherboard. Why are there standoffs stuck to these? Do I just cut them with the scissors? Do I need a pliers? What do we do here, chat? What do we do here? So I returned this motherboard, and they give it back to me with standoffs stuck to these screws, and I can't take them out. These won't come out. So what am I supposed to do here? Like, obviously the person who is looking through this did not make the right judgment call, because the standoffs are stuck to the screws. I can't take these out. I guess I could try to pliers them. Should I even try to touch this, or should I make another claim with Gigabyte? I don't even know if I should try to touch this. Because I think the moment I touch this, they're gonna get mad and say that I did something I shouldn't have. So maybe is there a way to remove the standoffs from here? And then I can install it with the standoff stuck to the screws and see if it's gonna work. Because I can't install this. Like, I have to remove these screws to install it in here. And I can't do that without these standoffs, which are very clearly stuck to these screws. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Because these standoffs are stuck to them. Like, I can't take these out. Which means this is gonna get in the way. So I'm gonna need some way. Okay, I can try to like take the standoffs out. Let me see, will this work? No, that's the wrong size. I'm gonna try to take the standoffs out. Will it work on this one though? That's a good question. Nope, I don't think it's gonna work on this. Okay, so I'm gonna have to take the standoffs out. Is it even gonna fit? Got a repaired or a new motherboard. Warning, your connection is unstable, blah blah blah. Okay. And nobody's typing in chat. So like, can you guys hear me or am I just unable to see chat? I'm gonna pull open chat on like another device. Let me see if I can get chat open on my laptop. I can get chat open on my laptop and we'll see how that goes. Actually, I'll do it on my tablet. I'm gonna open chat on my tablet, guys. Because I don't know if you guys are sending any messages. Maybe you guys are sending messages and I just can't see it on my phone this whole time. But I'm going to open chat and I'm going to answer everybody's questions. If anybody sent anything, I'm going to answer it. We'll see in a sec. But what should I do in this case where Gigabyte sent me back a motherboard with standoffs stuck in the corners? How am I supposed to handle this? Okay, live. Currently doing live. I can see myself. Can you rate my... Yeah, so nobody has sent anything in the chat. So Gigabyte sent me this motherboard back, and there are literal standoffs stuck to it. Do I cut them off? Or do I just not install it? Like, what am I supposed to do here? There's still standoffs in this motherboard. I can't do anything with this. What am I supposed to do? Gigabyte, this was an RMA. You should have sent me a repaired motherboard, but you sent me a motherboard with a problem with it. This is obviously not repaired. Whatever happened here. I don't know what happened here. But do I even attempt to cut these off? Because what if they make a claim that I user damage? I mean, I had this footage as evidence. I'm not trying to damage this motherboard. And these aren't even the right kind of pliers that would be able to cut a screw. So I don't think I can even cut these. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to remove the standoffs from here, I guess. That's not a good thing to do. This is already not a good sign. I don't want to remove these. Okay, so I'm assuming I'm just going to take these out if I can. This is not the right diameter. It doesn't let me take it out. But this was a standoff remover. I just think it might be like a couple millimeters off in diameter. Like maybe 0.1 millimeters or something. It's not the right diameter, so it's not going to fit no matter what I try. I don't have a wrench, though. I mean, I could use the pliers and try to turn them. Is this even going to turn? Like, I have to remove these from the case or the other way. Oh, actually, they are turning. Okay, so I can turn them. But is this going to come out or is it just turning it? Let me see if I can get it out. I might have to turn these and get them out. But if I can get them out... Oh, I can get them out. Okay, so this does work. I can remove the standoffs from the case. And then I'm guessing I just have to, like... I don't know what I do with the new standoffs, but I'm guessing I'm just gonna have to like deal with them just not being screwed in. But okay, we're gonna see if this motherboard will even work in the first place, because they should have sent me a repaired motherboard. And if it's not a repaired motherboard, I'm gonna file a complaint, because I mean, Gigabyte, you should be doing better than this. You guys were my #1 motherboard manufacturer. I would always get my motherboards from Gigabyte since my first build in 2015. Because you guys have really good settings, really good BIOS, really good just compatibility in general, durability. There's a lot of good stuff about Gigabyte out there. But if RMA is the one thing they suck at, I might have to switch to Asus in the future. Because the other one I would have considered is Asus Tough. Okay, we are going to see how this motherboard goes. Because I can still install it now that I've removed those two standoffs. But this is gonna suck, because I was really hoping that I would just be able to put it in and then install it, like the normal way that you do it. Maybe I can somehow turn these standoffs back in. That is super annoying. Okay, I'm gonna get my screwdriver here and see if these standoffs will work in my case. I mean, oh, it looks like they do actually screw in. So at least it somewhat works. So these standoffs can be screwed into my actual case. And okay. So we're a little scuffed here, but they do seem to be working. I can screw that one in too. Should just tighten. And I'm gonna have to look on the side. I might need a flashlight. But Gigabyte, that is just not good. If you're watching this and you have a Gigabyte motherboard and you ever RMA in the future, just know that this could happen to you. Okay. I'm probably gonna make a YouTube video about this sometime in the future. Let's see. But I don't think that one's actually gonna go in, because I think the standoff hole is slightly different, right? Oh no, it does go in. It does go in. It goes in. So they sent me, I guess, like the standoffs will technically fit in. Okay. Not the best start, but we did manage to screw those 2 screws in. And then we do have the other 7 screws that go in the motherboard to screw in. So let's go ahead and, yeah, I guess just screw in the motherboard. Which is annoying that we had to even do this in the first place, but okay. Let's screw these in. I don't think these are motherboard screws. Some of these are definitely not motherboard screws. I think this one's a motherboard screw. Let's put that like right here. Screw that in. It'll let me. Or maybe I do need the tiny screws. Maybe the tiny screws are the ones that go in there. Let's see the tiny screw. Okay, I can't seem to put it in. Okay. Oh, this is slightly off center. Why is this off center? Is this off center? It's off center just slightly. Oh, and this is not even. Oh, hold on. Okay, unscrew these. Wait, there's another one. Oh my gosh, there's 3 screws. I didn't even notice that. Wait, so what's wrong with this screw then? Is it also a standoff stuck to it? Because I did not have this many standoffs stuck to them. Hold on. There's another screw. They shipped 3 standoffs stuck in this motherboard. There's 3 standoffs in here. What are you doing, Gigabyte? I mean, their test bench is broken then. If that's the case, their test bench is... I'm worried what these guys' test benches even look like. Okay. So I need a pliers again because I need to remove another standoff. This is just insane. I would not have shipped this. I would have not approved this. What is Gigabyte doing? Okay. Removing another standoff. I just have to turn it with enough force to turn it. And then I can just take it out of the motherboard. Out of the case. This is crazy, though. This should never have happened in the first place. They should not ship a motherboard as ready and returnable and usable and working condition if the standoffs in it literally literally are stuck to the motherboard. What is this? Okay. Let's put this back in. Come on. There we go. Okay. And then now I need to screw in 3 standoffs to the case. I need to also make sure that all these other screws are aligned. You know what? I might start with the screws that aren't standoffs. I'm going to start with these ones. And go with this one first. It's in a corner. I'm so confused, Gigabyte. I don't know how they could have ever approved this. There are literal standoffs stuck in the motherboard, but I guess I will be screwing these back in. It's so hard to even find the thing. Okay. More stuff here. This is next to the PCIe lever. I'm worried on damaging this. Genuinely kind of worried here with this screw. Okay, we're not going to install this screw. Maybe use a tinier screw here. I don't even have the right screws for these things. Okay, in this goes. Okay, I guess. Okay, so these are the actual motherboard screws. That's what I thought. But they have giant ones with standoffs stuck to them. Obviously, whoever did this at Gigabyte, they should not have approved this as a returnable item. Okay. Let's screw these back in. I guess we're over that adrenaline rush that they shipped standoffs in the motherboard. But we still have to get the whole motherboard wired up. I just removed the standoffs from my case to kind of counteract that there were standoffs already in the motherboard. And I think they are replaceable back, as long as I just screw them in correctly. Okay, there we go. Okay, screw back in. Screw all these in place. And I'm hoping the RAM works. Because if the RAM doesn't work, then they did not repair this motherboard. But the good sign is that there is a CPU cover on the socket, which means they could have done some work. Maybe they soldered something. Maybe that was all they took a look at. But I'm inclined to think that they would have, at the very least, tested the motherboard, and that these standoffs are from their test bench. And they really should go check their test bench to make sure that they did not have any standoffs missing from their test bench. But okay. All right, we are done with this. The next thing will be to install the CPU. But first, actually, I should connect the power cable. Power cable just goes in here. Maximum pins, because this is a high-end motherboard. All pins connected. Nice. Okay. Then I guess the USB panel can go here. I can connect the USB cable. This is USB 3.0. Connect in there. Okay, there we go. USB 3.0 connected. And then, what is this? F panel. So, where do we have JFP1 on this thing that I saw earlier? Oh, never mind. I don't know. Let's go. P-LED P. Okay, this is where that goes. Did I actually put? Okay, so this goes in here. That's not a good sound to hear, but maybe it's okay. All I know is this doesn't work. I'm getting a refund from Gigabyte because they were supposed to repair this. They clearly something was not as optimal as planned during the repair. Okay, HD audio. I mean, these are not cheap parts either. If they damage on my other parts, like, I'm gonna seek compensation, of course. It's not the best thing to have to worry about, but I'm hoping that everything just works together first try. That is the best thing we can hope for in a situation like this. Okay, now it's time to install our CPU. So let's take this out. Ooh, okay. And maybe we don't remove the plastic. I think it pops off on its own. So we're going to take this, put the CPU in the motherboard like so. This is the 7900X. And I'm also going to clean off the top of all that thermal paste on here. Let's clean that up a little bit. Just some Keraunot on there, the old thermal paste that I liked to use in the past. But now I'm downgrading to MX6. More stable. More stable over time, I might add. Because this Keraunot tends to dry up faster and stuff. I was told by Gemini that MX6 is better for my use cases. So that's what we are going with. Okay. And then it's time to actually apply said thermal paste. Well, okay. First, I do need to get this plastic off of it, though. I believe it self-removes. Yep. There we go. And then now we can close that up. And then I just put a dot in the center, except I don't have my cooler in yet. So let's actually get our cooler flashlight from this. So it's not in our way. But the cooler we are going to be going with is the Lian Li HydroShift 360. That is this one right here. It's got a nice LCD screen on the front of it. And this one actually was a lot quieter than my Corsair AIO. Maybe that's just because the CPU wattage was different on the other PC, but I believe this one is a lot better. So we will be installing this AIO here. But first, I actually do need to put the CPU power in. So let's put that in before we forget. And weirdly enough, this motherboard only uses the 4 pins of power on one of the CPU connectors. My other one used all 8 pins, but we'll see how that goes. I don't believe you need more than this, though, for the CPU. I believe one of these is 150 watts, and then that means if the other one is half of that, 170 watt TDP is not really going to do too much. And this motherboard is a little bit lower end than my other one, even though it is an X870. So these are still very high-end motherboards, I would say. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me take this and then plug that in, like so. Okay. And then now we need to just get our AIO in. So let's power connector down here. Okay. Time for the AIO. Lian Li, massive radiator, big cooling right here. Will be great for this PC. And then let's take this and then move it just down here temporarily. Just off to the side. I don't want to hurt that capacitor over there. But I am going to need to open this up in order to install all of that. So let's pull this upright and then start installing this. Oh, shoot. I need a special screwdriver too. No way. This has got to be fake. This has got to just be... Oh, yeah, this is removable. Okay. Yeah, we do not need a special screwdriver for that. Let's just put in our fan screws up here. I believe I had somewhere else, but I'm going to have to figure out where that somewhere else is right now. So let's get that up here. And I'll figure out where these fan screws are. So I did have them somewhere. And you guys can also see what's going on up there. I am going to put this up here. Okay. Let's get our fan screws, which I believe were somewhere back here. I believe this basket, yep, this bag has all of them. These are the fan screws that should go to this AIO. And we will just go ahead and screw those in. Okay. Now I just need to get opposite corners in, and then we can screw in the remaining, like, so there's like 12 screws for this. So I'll do the opposite corners and then the remaining 10 screws after. For some reason, this feels like a GPU, but this is actually not a GPU. This is just an AIO. But it is of like similar density. A lot of these computer parts are very dense. Okay. Okay. One screw in here. Let's magnetize it if we can. Come on. Magnetize it in there. Okay. Good. Okay, this might actually not be an AIO screw. Oh, and also, I'm in the wrong rail. I need to put this one more rail ahead, because this is a 360, not a 400 something. But also, this is not even the right size screw. So I need to figure out what's going wrong with that screw. Because this should go in, but it's not going in, which means I need a different size screw. But these are all my AIO screws, so what's wrong with that then? Because these should fit in, but those are definitely not going to fit in, so. Do we just use these screws then? I thought we used regular fan size screws, but I guess maybe not. Maybe we just use regular screws on this case. Okay, well, we will put this up here anyway. Oh yeah, no, that does not fit in, I don't think, right? Yeah, no, the hole is way too big for the screw. So what do I use? Do I use these kinds? I have to try screws until they work. I think these are the screws I need. Which is unfortunately one that I also happen to have a shortage of, so I might just bring like a 4 or 6 screw on this. If that's the case. Okay. Unless I can find all the screws without having to ransack for the spare motherboard screws. Of course, this gets magnetized in the wrong position. There we go. Something over here. And this should be installed now. Sort of. That happened to go under at the worst time. So this needs to get removed, and then the screw needs to be repositioned up above when it just went under. Why did this go under? Okay. Got it through. Okay, let's screw that in now. This should hopefully enter. Come on. Enter the right position. Okay. And then now, I wish these screws worked, but I don't know. Those are just way too big. Like, those are the regular fan-size screws, but I don't see those fitting in, so I'm going to use these regular ones then. These regular ones are fitting in very nicely, though, which makes me think that these are the right ones to be using here. Maybe these were the right ones. Okay. And then finally some more ones like this. Go up here. Just need to screw in all these screws, and then we should hopefully be done with this portion of it. That's good. Another one up here. That one's not the right one. This one's the right one. One more here. I think the middle is fine to not screw in, but I might just screw it in anyway, because I do think I have the extra screws for it. Then after, we'll go ahead and screw in the cooler on top of the CPU. Should fit in nicely. But yeah, I do believe that I do have enough screws for this, so let's get those all in. So I won't actually need to go looking for my other set of case spare screws. I should have all 12 in. Where's the last one? I just saw it. There it is. Okay, and then this should be all screwed in, which now means that we can close this up. This little magnetic net over here for catching the dust. We will close that up on the top here. I can figure out where to close it up. Okay, now we tip this over. And then I'm going to need to install that cooler right here. Put it on top of the CPU. Should go like this. Possibly? No. It needs to go the other way. What? Why does this not match up suddenly? This has to match up. I gotta figure out which way this goes. I thought it was like this, no? Okay, wait, maybe there was a bracket. I remember there was an AMD mounting bracket that turns it into the Intel one so that I can actually mount this. But where is that bracket? That might just be in this box. I have to see if that's there. Yes, that's these things. And that turns the AMD size into the Intel size so I can actually mount this. I believe, right? I'm not wrong. Wait, how does this go on? Like this, right? Am I crazy? How does this fit? This is the Intel side. It's square. AMD is a rectangle. Okay, so if I do like this, I think that works. But there might be another adapter on the other side. Oh, why do people have to prioritize Intel? Why can't it just be AMD? Oh, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, it's this thing. Maybe it's this thing. This is what I'm looking at here. I believe that might actually be the thing that I was looking for. Because this goes onto the AMD size, or it does not go onto the AMD size. Is this size here? Does not look very friendly. Oh yeah, Intel. No, this is not what I'm using. I need the Intel to AMD converter. Not the Intel to Intel converter. Intel HW? No. I need the AMD one. But that does mean that it's probably in this box, so I'm seeing the other ones in there. HW. That's probably some ancient thing. Yeah, I don't know why there's no bracket on this one, because I did have the bracket. Or maybe this is the right bracket. I'm just not thinking about how to use it properly. Do I go like this, maybe? Just like this, and then this? That doesn't look like it would work, though. I do need to figure out, like, okay, so if I do like this, does it become a square? I'm not sure that works. Oh, maybe it works like this? No, I mean, it looks like it should be the right size, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna work. Why did I lose one thing that I need to attach the CPU filter? Oh, it is in here. I think this is the AMD one. This has gotta be it, right? No, there's 3M tape on it. That means I didn't use this one. It's unused 3M, which is not a good sign. 1700. Is it LGA 1700 AMD though? Hold on. Is LGA 1700 AM5? No, that was Intel. Okay. So that's the wrong one again. Which one is the right one? I guess. Okay. What are you planning to do with this PC? Gaming, of course. And then I'm hoping that I can also, when I put both the GPUs in, it can also run some of the AI from your website. But also do some Unreal Engine and game development at the same time that I'm playing games. That's why I'm doing a dual GPU build here. I can't seem to find where was the power, not the power connector, the cooler connector. Because I have a cooler connector, which I seem to be missing somewhere, which should have been around here. I lost the cooler connector, so I might not even be able to build this one unless I can find that. But I should actually have it, because I mean, this is all the stuff that I had with the PC. Okay, what does the part even look like that I'm looking for? So I need to search Leanne Lee HydroShift 360, how to install AMD bracket. AM5. Okay, we'll see. I'm gonna just open this and not have an advertisement play on stream. So I gotta wait for that to finish. They're giving me 2 of them in a row without the skip option. And then now you guys can actually see what I need to do here. So the socket setup is what I need. Because I believe I installed this before. I just can't seem to find the bracket. I want to see what the bracket looks like again. Which is what he has. And then he's ready to put it on. But how is he ready to put it on without the bracket? Oh, so there's a... Oh, okay, hold on. I'm missing the things that go on top. That's what I'm missing. So there's like little plastic things that go on here. And that is what connects it to the CPU cooler. So I did already have the AMD bracket installed. But where are the little plastic things then? Are they these then? I think these are the white ones for the other case. That's for the other motherboard. I want the black ones. I mean, I'll use these if I can't find anything else. But I do think that I have the black ones somewhere. Also, just check what is in here. I just have no SSD in it. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, okay. So where are the black ones then for this? I guess I'll put these ones on here because it should be the same size. So it should be compatible. If I do like this, right? If I do like this, I should be able to stick it on with these, right? Yeah, hold on a sec. I'm gonna need the thing that like connects it to that. Is this what I use? I don't think this is what I use. I need to look back at that video again. How is he connecting it? There's another part that I'm missing. There has to be another part that I'm missing. Skip, skip. Come on. How do you do that one? So you have the things installed here on the edge. So there's nothing installed around the edge. You just have it kind of like this. And then the screws go on those corners. Oh, but that's... Wait, I don't have those ones. Do I? I thought I had those. I previously installed this CPU and this motherboard, so I definitely have those lying around somewhere, but maybe they're not here. Time to go take a look at my storage room again, I guess. We'll have to see if that's in there. Okay, we're gonna see if we have the correct connectors in here. This is the old PC case here. Let's see if I can find anything in here that might have gone to the other PC. Just the 4070s and stuff. That's the RAM, that's the microphones. I don't think I have it in here. That would not be something in this room. You know, it's just for installing an office chair. Nothing else in here that really seems like it would go to the motherboard. So yeah, it would be in the other room. It would be in the other room, but I don't think I have them. Where would these have gone? Maybe they were on the motherboard when I returned it. That would be the worst case scenario. They were on the motherboard when I returned it, and they just kept them. But I don't think that would be the case. I think I would have at least had them somewhere, because they would have probably came off when I took off the AIO. I don't know if I took a picture of the motherboard when I was returning it. I don't think I did. I probably didn't think that much to take a picture of it. But we're just missing the cooler attachments. So I can't really attach the CPU cooler to the CPU, which is important. I accidentally just closed out of YouTube. Sorry about that. But okay. We do need just a single adapter thing that makes it the right size to go onto the CPU cooler. But I'm not seeing those adapters anywhere. We are hopefully able to clear out most of this mess. So I'm going to start cleaning up a little bit and then see if I can find those CPU cooler attachments. Get rid of all this. Just going to clean up most of it and see if I can find CPU cooler attachments. Oh, speaking of which, there are my spare motherboard screws I was looking for earlier. Yeah, so I just see the CPU. I don't see CPU cooler attachments. Oh, maybe these are it, actually, here. I might have found them. Something like these, maybe, right? Right here. Then maybe there was a big part that latched onto around them. I think this goes on here, right? Or on there somehow. How does it go on? It somehow latches onto here. Somehow it would latch on to like inside here, I would think, right? Does it not? Thought it would go on in here, right? Like, should go like this. Maybe it goes outward? Definitely does not go outward. You know, definitely does not go outward. I think it goes under this. And then this like goes into here. But that does not make sense with like how the CPU cooler is configured here. It's gotta go somewhere. Okay, what do we do here then? Because I know that I have the brackets somewhere. I think it goes like on top of these, and then it like connected around them. That's what I thought happened last time. You know, these cannot fit here. So I think I need the other kind of these. Which I don't know if that exists. I don't know if I'm looking for a different part. The way he did it in the video, he used a different part than the one I have. And I have to look for a singular part here. I'm just trying to find the part that lets me attach these. Because otherwise I have these, but these are the same part just in white, right? Yeah. Which is not going to do much help. Because I still need a way to attach the CPU cooler to this. It might just be in this pile of stuff here. These are all the wires I took out earlier while I was trying to look for an HDMI. I really did want to take out this many things. It was really just in the bottom of the basket. So put all this back in and make sure that we don't have anything here that shouldn't be here. And I think that's actually everything. This is all the stuff. So I just put all this back in. Everything should be fine. Right. So you get all these cables back in the basket. And I just need the thing that connects it. Sorry about all this pondering and trying to talk through it, guys, but I'm really hoping that we have a part here somewhere. This might probably be the least entertaining part to watch. If you're watching this on the VOD, you can feel free to skip back until I find out where the CPU cooler part is. Because this probably is not going to be entertaining for the next 20 or so minutes, unless you're okay with laughing at me in the comments about what part I'm missing. In that case, feel free to go ahead and laugh in the comments. I am not really gonna do much about it, I guess. I am very much an idiot in this case. Right. Can't even my stuff back. It's definitely not a good idea to try to build two of these at once, but I am trying to get done by the deadline. I do want to get things done before the end of today. It's not a hard deadline, but it's just a goal that I'm setting to myself. I wanted to have these PCs both up and running so I could start coding custom software tomorrow. Okay. This is all taken back, and I'm not seeing a part anywhere that could do what I need it to do. So that's unfortunately not going to help very much. It is just a little bit cleaner though. But I'm still not seeing the part that connects the CPU cooler to the CPU, which is the part that I need. This is the 1700 bracket, so that's not going to work. I'm seeing this, but it says Intel on it. So I'm assuming this is not what I need. And the other one is in a bag, it says Intel HW. So these are all Intel brackets. None of these are going to help me install a cooler on an AMD CPU. And then here I'm seeing like 4 screws that definitely go in somewhere. And there's definitely like a thing that bridges these out, but I don't have it right now. So chances are it was stuck on the motherboard when I returned it, and then Gigabyte just took it. Gigabyte is really not the best at this RMA then. So they left standoffs in the motherboard. They took my CPU cooler attachments. Really not a great sign about you, Gigabyte. If this is the reason I can't build my computer, this is going to be very sad. But I'm just not seeing it anywhere. Like, I'm looking at all my bags. I just don't see it. Because, like, this is what I'm left with here. I'm left with these attachments, these screws, which do not work with that. And then this. I don't see anything in here that will connect the CPU cooler to the CPU. So what I'm left with is I cannot connect the CPU cooler to the CPU, which is really unfortunate. So that's what I'm left with. Unless it's somehow these brackets that I just don't know how I'm misconfiguring. I swear these have to go in like somehow like that. Like these look like very perfect size for this. And what else would they exist for? You have to look at what these can do. Because maybe this is the correct way to install it. Maybe I'm just not looking right. If I do like this, I'm gonna just go under this. That's not gonna work though. Gotta be like this maybe, right? Gotta go inward, and then I swear it would go outward, and then it would just latch onto here. Yeah, in fact, that's the correct way that it goes. It goes down further when I attach it that way. This should attach here. But very clearly does not want to. Unless this is the way to do it. So also, what am I going to do about these? You know, there's definitely a part. There's definitely a part that goes kind of diagonally like that. I know there is, because that's the only explanation for what I was installing it with. That makes the most sense. So I have to find a part that goes diagonally on the CPU cooler. But now that I'm looking at my other PC, it has that same part. So yeah, no, I'm missing it. I guess we're going on a scavenger hunt. We need to figure out where that piece of tech was, because that goes on the motherboard. I don't believe it's in the case here. If it is, I could be mistaken, but I'm gonna check the old PC case. See if it's in the old PC case. I don't believe it's in there. You know, there's nothing in here that would be a CPU cooler holder. It's literally just fans, so there's nothing in there. You guys have to be here for a while, unfortunately, with me troubleshooting this. But we do need to find a connector for the CPU cooler. So I'm going to start taking stuff out of this box, because that's what I've come to. These are GPU boxes, so these will just come out first. So there's a microphone box, a RAM kit box, another microphone box. Hopefully it contains some stuff, but check it after. An ROG packet of something. Another microphone box. Some tech box here. Looks like that's an outlet. It's an electrical outlet. A microphone shield, which this definitely doesn't have it, because I don't think I've touched these boxes in a while, but yeah, no, it just has some other stuff in there. That's not a cable that I'm looking for, though. Not the cable, I mean the connector for the CPU cooler. This is chair putting together stuff. This is once again motherboard screws. Second pack of them. And then I don't see the CPU cooler connectors. They're just not in here. So my guess is that these were on the motherboard when I sent them back to Gigabyte. And because they were on that motherboard, Gigabyte just took them. Because I don't think I would have gone and removed those screws from the CPU cooler, which I think is my mistake here. Because since I did not go ahead and remove those, then yeah, now they have them and I don't. So Gigabyte has my CPU cooler attachments. Gigabyte, if you're watching this, you need to work on your RMAs, because I returned this motherboard. If there was something on the motherboard, you should have noticed this and at least told me before it's being shipped back to me that, hey, you're missing these, you're going to need more of these. And then second off, whatever repairs you made to the motherboard, it's very clear that from your test bench, you did not remove the standoffs from the motherboard. They were stuck into it. And those are part of your test bench's case. So check your test bench because you probably broke your test bench. And number two, in the future, like, just make sure that I have like the CPU cooler attachments, because I don't know what else to see. Like, there's nothing here. I can open this Leon Lee box, maybe. Maybe it's in the Leon Lee box. I mean, that's probably my last guess. I don't know. This is just thermal paste. It's the old Kieranot bag. Might have something in it. Nope. That is just something else. That does not look like it could be that size. And then this is just cables. There's nothing in there. Yeah, no, there's nothing in there. Some Lian Li wireless controller. Yeah, no. It's not there. Which means that we're just missing a part to the PC. Thanks, Gigabyte. I mean, you really helped me with building this PC, so we might not be able to complete the build, guys. That is unfortunate, but we just might not be able to complete it unless it's somewhere in here. I doubt it is, but I'm still going to check anyway. I'm not seeing it anywhere, so chances are we literally just cannot complete the build. Yeah, this is best parts. We cannot complete the build because we are missing the required part to attach the CPU cooler to the CPU, because Gigabyte has it. When I armade the motherboard, those must have still been on the motherboard, and Gigabyte just kept them. They didn't even leave them back on the motherboard or give me a note. They just kept them. So I can't install my CPU because I can't put the CPU cooler in. So we might just have to end the stream here. We did successfully finish gearing up one of my PCs. We swapped the GPUs out and everything. But I just can't complete PC number 2. Not without that cooler part. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the local electronics shop here and see if I can find the part that I'm looking for. Because luckily, I do happen to live near a shop that might have this part. But otherwise, we don't have this part. So I might see you guys later, or I might not. I mean, I'm probably just going to assemble the rest of this PC. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. But I guess we are missing a cooler attachment, so we cannot continue the build. So if you guys have any last words, otherwise I'm going to end the stream. But thanks for watching, guys. And I'm sorry this just wasn't as entertaining as it could have been. I did want to successfully get this second PC booted up, but can't do that just yet. All right, without further ado, I am going to be ending the stream. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks so much for supporting the channel. Please subscribe and visit gpusniper.com, my website. I worked really hard to make this, not just with these hardware, but a lot more on software. So thank you guys for supporting me, and I'm working really hard to get you guys your parts for cheaper. And thanks for all of this up until now. Goodbye.